Good day everyone. In today's video we are going to discuss why it would be that you hit a thin push. So why you're making contact low on the club face and why is the ball pushing excessively to the right. So that's the topic of today's video. What is happening? Why are you hitting thin pushes? So the thing to understand here is that as you make your downstroke, your club head will start to trail your body excessively, like so. The club head will work its way down to the ground early on. From there, the angle of travel of your club head into the golf ball is going to be too far off to the right like this as a right-handed golfer. So the club head ends up very close to the ground very early on. It hits the ball on the ascent, very low on the club face. The club head is moving off to the right hand side. So thin shots because your club head is rising up. That's the angle of attack. It's often going to be slightly upwards even. And push shots because your club path, your club head is moving excessively off to the right like this. And I have to say this does tend to be a good player error. But the practices, the exercise you would do in order to work on this absolutely applies to all golfers. It's just good geometry. So we understand why is it happening. It's happening because the hands, the club head are too far behind the body. The club head is moving off and up to the right hand side. So if I demonstrate a shot doing this, and if we have a look at the numbers, hopefully you'll be able to see them. So you see a club path 16 degrees into out, so an excessively into out club path, and an 1 degree upwards attack angle rather than the downwards attack angle I'd be expecting, okay? And I have to say, I definitely felt that low on the face. It definitely vibrated as I hit it. It wasn't a very nice feeling at all, okay? So, I don't know if you noticed, but when I finished those shots, I finished very much in this position here. So what I want you to notice how my hands here are very much right in front of my chest and my lead arm is almost pointing at the target, like so. Also notice how my hands were quite high up here, okay? If I swivel around to show you this from your perspective, if I'm in position, I finished and my hands again very much in front of my chest, the lead arm pointing straight back at you, back at the camera, and the hands relatively high. So this is my thin push golf shot right here. So what are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on the movement of the lead arm as you come through. And what I want you to try and do is focus on the lead arm moving past your rib cage like this. In anatomical terms, this is the horizontal abduction of the lead arm like this. So what does it look like? How do you start to feel this? I would hold the club in just your left hand like I'm doing now and feel the club head go past the chest, past your rib cage like this. If I swivel round, it's going past the rib cage like so. If I swivel round to face you again, past the rib cage. So you'll notice when I finish here, my hands are very much to the left of my chest, not directly in front of my chest. Now when you're doing this with a golf club, you might start to feel the golf club is a little bit heavy for you to be able to control this. So perhaps do it with a slightly smaller object or even with no object at all. Just practice the feel of the lead arm moving across your rib cage like so. So that's the very first thought and feeling that you need to start to incorporate into your game. We still need a little bit of an add-on to this because I could be doing this motion and as I come through here, my hands are still very high up, which means the club head will have ascended more than it ought to also, and so I could still be hitting thin shots as I do this, even though my left arm's working nicely across my rib cage now. So the next thing I want you to do as an add-on is simply think to yourself, when you set up, you actually have the upper humerus putting pressure down on your pec right here. And I want you to try and feel like you keep it there all the while you're making your swing and making the left arm, lead arm work across your chest. And this one is an easy one to work on because all you need to do is put a tee, a towel, a head cover. You could even just pinch your top like this, something that puts pressure right there. So your task as you come through the shot is to make sure the hands have orbited the rib cage and have come around you, so they're no longer in front of the chest. But likewise, when you stop at P9 here, trail arm parallel to the ground, I would like you to check that the humerus is still angled slightly downwards. It hasn't yet reached parallel and certainly hasn't gone higher than parallel to the ground. From the down the line view, so the lead arm has come around my rib cage, my hands aren't right here, they've come around my rib cage, and I've still got pressure here under the lead armpit. The humerus isn't angled too far up, which would lead to too much flexion of the lead shoulder and the hands, the club head rising up through the ball too quickly. So that's your fix. That's the two things I want you to focus on. The motion of the lead arm across the chest and the pressure under the lead armpit as you're doing that. So your reference is that you are going to go from this picture, the hands in front of you, the hands high, to this picture. The hands much more around you to the left and the hands lower. Do those things and the fin pushes will disappear.